Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icelandale, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey, together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey, bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
And now we have audio. So this is why we have captions, folks. It picks me up even when the streaming software is like, no, I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. So once again, welcome to Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr. Today we're talking about Whittle's Champions of Renown, which is the pack that was on Steam like a week ago as a giveaway. So if a lot of you started playing recently or just never had these champions before, but we're playing on Steam, well, let's talk about what you got. It was a pretty good pack. The way this show works is I will talk at you for like an hour, for like a whole hour. Maybe with these champions, hour-ish. Then we'll have a short musical interlude, and then we'll come back for a Q&A, where I will talk about the topic of the show. Any questions that are actually on topic for the rest of the time. But I'll do that first, and then once I'm done with those, then we'll go to just general Q&A. I have Mars in the mod pod this morning, taking care of things. 10 cure things. So Mars, even if you ask the questions during the first hour of the show, Mars will grab them and put them in a little document for me so that I have access to them in the second half of the show. Yeah, that's the way this works. All right. So let's dive right in, I guess. I'm going to do these out of bench slot order. So let's talk about, because it's Whittle's Champions of Renown, let's talk about Whittle first. Whittle joined the game from Heroes of the Plains. Female Dampier Gnome Wizard. So do not let the blunderbuss fool you. That is their magical focus. They fire their magic out of it. So they're a healing, support, and speed champion. Yeah. So their base attack is Blunderbolt. Whittle fires a firebolt from her enormous blunderbuss, dragging a random enemy. No, that's the base attack. Shade. Damaging a random enemy. First big ability, Vampiric Gaze, and everything kind of functions a little off of this. Whittle charms those adjacent to her by her Vampiric Gaze, increasing their damage by 1%. So this means you're going to want Whittle adjacent to whomever your DPS is. Whomever your DPS is. Doesn't mean she has to be adjacent to everyone. Keep that in mind. Just like that Q is just your DPS when you're trying to figure out how to place her in your formation. Hurry Up Now is the next ability. Champions affected by Whittle's Vampiric Gaze have a 25% chance to immediately reset their base attack cooldown after they attack. So the potential, 1 in 4 shot to actually attack more often. Again, adjacency base. Now this does adjust some things, because before you just wanted to place her next to your DPS. Now you want to place her next to your DPS and any hit-based debuffers. Who could possibly be a hit-based debuffer? Well, lots of people in this formation. Honestly, everybody but Avren. Arkira has a hit-based debuff. Catti-brie has a hit-based debuff. Hyla has a hit-based debuff. So anybody that you might have a lot of targets you might want to get next to Whittle, but hit the major ones first and still make sure that your primary DPS is next to her, right? Tasty Friends. Champions affected by Whittle's Vampiric Gaze look extra tasty to the enemies. Each affected champion increases the monster spawn speed by 10%, stacking additively. So this is the speed effect, and monster spawn speed, to be clear, this is one of the few. This is one of the speed effects we know for sure. It speeds up the amount of time it takes to go from right off screen where my cursor is, as they're loading in, to this point where they're all just getting wrecked by the familiars. So it basically speeds them through that short little passage of space, allowing you to kill them faster. So just a little bit less of a delay, right? That is the speed effect for Whittle. Oh, specializations. It's basically the same thing, but it's tied to paired stat scores. So strong and steady mind and body, or wisdom and confidence. And it's basically the effects of Whittle's abilities on champions affected by Vampiric Gaze are increased by 50%. But it just depends on what their stat score is. So strength dex, int con, or wisdom charisma, 12 or higher. This is one of those situations where when they put the champions in the formation targeted down here, not super helpful. But it is what it is. I mean, it kind of could be okay. What you want to make sure is that you're targeting your DPS. So you need to look at what your stats are on your DPS and make sure that whichever one you pick at least matches the DPS. So if one is the higher number and it matches the DPS, obviously that's where you want to go. If the only one that matches the DPS is the lowest number, well, you still need to match the DPS because you still need that damage bonus, right? Right. So yeah, this is a thing. I'm just gonna pick mind and body. But yeah, you really want it because there's no DPS in this formation, so it doesn't matter. But you really want to base that off of whomsoever the DPS is. Only as slow as the fastest link. Once again, champions affected by Whittle's Vampiric Gaze have a base attack cooldown equal to the quickest of the affected champions. This is a kind of propagating speed, like base attack speed bonus. It only really works if you have someone that's the fastest attacking person. Mike speaking. The fastest attack. Oh, my mic doesn't like me today, folks. I apologize. The fastest attacking speed person next to Whittle, and then everyone next to Whittle will attack at that speed. So, for instance, we have Arkira and Avren next to everybody's attacking right now at 4.25, because that's the way it's going to work. That's just because they're all next to Whittle, right? But you know, as we can see, Avren's is actually 5.75, right? But because we put them next to Whittle, they become the fastest, attacking at 4.25. Oops, wrong one. Yeah. Well, 4.75. Well, it's gonna change a little bit, but yeah. You're gonna match whatever the lowest thing is. Why is it now not working? I broke it. Sean can fix it later. Okay. But it's going to propagate stuff out. So it really, you see the bigger effect when you get somebody who's super fast, or just a regular speed, and then you put somebody next to them that's normally really slow attack speed. So personally, I like Whittle with like if I've got to use a DPS that has a really slow attack speed. Having Whittle paired with that DPS helps, because now they're attacking much faster, so I can get the benefit of that high damage hit that they come with, even though they're with that long, slow attack speed. But they're going to be attacking more often, right? And that's even before they potentially trigger that kind of double attack, right? So Whittle's good at making things attack faster. The ultimate ability here is Vampiric Bite. You can tend to tell with the creepy like eyeball with vampire teeth around it. That was a choice. Whittle leaps out and ferociously bites a random enemy, dealing enormous damage. She then leaps back into the formation where her vampiric bite heals her and everyone affected by Vampiric Gaze for an amount equal to her own max health. So right now, her max health is only 1449 because she is squishy. When I get a tank who has health share, the max health will go up, but it's still only going to be about a quarter of that tank's health. So this isn't going to be like a huge heal for the tanks. This is meant to be a protective heal for the squishies that Whittle happens to be around. But again, everything's propagated through Vampiric Gaze, so everything's adjacency based. So if I come here and I pop Vampiric Bite, she jumps out, she takes a bite out of crime, comes back, you see this, splash of blood, and everybody gets healed. Nobody was damaged, but everybody would have gotten healed had that actually been a thing. So that's Whittle's abilities. So a Whittle guide. Item-wise, damage all champions, because she is a support. She gets a buff to Vampiric Gaze, a buff to Tasty Friends. This is the speed effect, so you can buff her speed effect. But otherwise, you're just buffing Vampiric Gaze. She doesn't get buffs to anything else. You get ultimate attack damage, and you get ultimate cooldown. So none of her other effects get boosted. It's just the damage bonus from Vampiric Gaze, and it's just the speed effect. Because there is no technical cap on her speed effect, you can get this up to a point where animation-wise, you are reducing the spawn rate to 1 frame of animation to get from the right-hand side to where everything dies. And then further investing doesn't really matter. The thing is we don't know what that number is. Because there's nothing in the game that tells us that, hey, that was 1 frame of animation. Like, we can't break down the animation cycle that much. But the point is, with a high enough slot 4, you don't need anybody else in your formation that increases spawn speed. Unless at some point they decide to cap that item, which, would be more balanced. Feat-wise, damage all champions stuff. We get Vampiric Gaze stuff. We get a lot of it. A decent amount of it. We get a Hurry Up Now. That's the attack thing. Then we get some Tasty Friends. So this is the speed effect. So I can boost the speed effect a lot more. And then Whittle gets a Constitution feat. 14 is Vajra? Yeah. So this allows Whittle to be used with Vajra in Vajra variants. So that's Whittle's current feats. Just want a reminder, yeah. Oh, Hurry Up Now. So basically you would get a, if you slot that feat in, you're going to get an increased chance to immediately attack again. I was like, which one is that again? Because it's early in the morning and I was up late last night. Okay, up next. Let's talk about Avren. I'm just going to pick random champions, folks, because it keeps me on my game. Avren comes to us also from the Heroes of the Plains. Because why not? Male half-elf Warlock Sorcerer. Warlock Sorcerer support. Pure support. Avren's a support buffer. That's all Avren does. Basic attack is Spectral Shards. Avren tosses 3 Spectral Shards at random enemies. 1 does damage, 1 stuns, and 1 is fake. And only briefly staggers the enemy. Just some interesting crowd control stuff, but it's, as a support, it's not a huge thing. Avren's main buff, and the whole reason everybody's like, oh, Avren, mirror image. Avren casts mirror image every 15 seconds. Okay, the image lasts for 30 seconds and buffs its target depending on their tags, and the tags that it buffs are DPS, support, and tanking. If they have multiple tags, they get multiple buffs. So if they have multiple tags, they get multiple buffs. This is a big deal. This is the part that makes Avren the strongest support buffer currently in the game. And it's because over here there's an item for this ability, which means if they get multiple tags and they have thus multiple buffs, like say they're a DPS support, they're going to get the benefit of both of these, which means the item is applying multiple times, right? It's applying for both of those benefits, and it does that for everyone with a mirror image on, which means you're getting a lot of work out of this one ability and this one item. And these numbers that may not look super impressive are happening on all of the champions that have a mirror image. And it makes big things happen, folks. It makes big things happen. So at its base, though, it happens every 15 seconds. It lasts for 30. That means at base, you're going to have 2 mirrors up. 2 mirrors up. This will change. Here's what the mirrors look like. It's these floating spectral haunting images. Okay. Okay. As we move on, specialization choice. Mirror focus good, mirror focus neutral, mirror focus evil. It creates a preference where Avren will put those mirror images first on champions that are aligned on the good, neutral, evil axis based off what you're picking here. You want to match this to your DPS. You want your DPS matched to this. So again, this is a situation where these numbers, where they're like champions of formation targeted. The only one that helps you at all in this situation is the one that says, hey, 0, don't pick me. But these other numbers don't matter. And in fact can work against you if you try to do multiple. What you want is just to make sure it's targeting your DPS. So again, we don't have a DPS in here. Well, yes, we do. But okay, hold on. We're going to move Catti-brie up. Catti-brie, technically a DPS. Catti-brie, chaotic good. So in this situation, I am going to go good. And what that means is no matter what, Catti-brie, as long as there's no more than 2 good people Catti-brie in this formation, which we just saw the numbers and there's 2, Catti-brie will just Avren, why are you not working correctly? Catti-brie is supposed to get this more often than not, and then of course Avren doesn't listen. Avren gonna Avren. But you want that preferential treatment towards whoever your DPS is. Second specialization, I keep forgetting. This is literally all he does. You could either choose sturdy mirrors or empowered mirrors. I could describe both of them for you folks, but this is one of those situations where there's one true way. Sturdy mirrors. Every time. This increases the duration of mirror image by 100% to 60 seconds. Yeah. What does that mean? That means you get 4 mirrors instead of 2. Okay, that means even more tags getting buffed by the mirror image ability, which means even stronger. Avren's okay strong when he only has 2. Not amazing, but when he has 4 out and one of them's on the DPS, yeah. And ideally, you want to make sure those 4, one's on the DPS, and the other 3 are on support champions. There's your ideal combination, because that means 3 of those support tags getting buffed, and then your DPS. And if your DPS is a DPS/support, even better. Even better. All right. So, all right. Mirror focus, sturdy mirrors. Seeing double is the next ability, and this one's a bit of a placement hint. So increases of the damage of all champions by 50% multiplicatively for each champion adjacent to Avren. So this tells you Avren does want to be surrounded by lots of champions. The base amount is increased by 50% for each active mirror image effect on the adjacent champion. So each active mirror image effect, that means if they are multi-tagged and adjacent to Avren, you are getting extra credit. So ideally, you have Avren surrounded by as many champions in the formation, but almost more importantly, by as many mirror images as possible. This is going to give you a multiplier, a pretty solid multiplier on that mirror image ability. Okay, that's it. That's all Avren does. It's all about mirror image. Okay, so he gets damage all champions items. He gets that super powerful, multiple times affecting mirror image. This makes Avren a super tasty target for blacksmithing contracts, right? Boosting item levels, getting this golden epic, like that kind of stuff. He gobbles this up. He gobbles this up. It's super efficient to upgrade Avren. As long as you're, as many as possible item levels landing right here, right? I also get the Seeing Double ability item. So this is going to help encourage you to place Avren correctly and to make sure that you're setting everything up around him. Then you get ultimate attack damage and ultimate cooldown. Speaking of the ultimate, Avren's ultimate is Insignificance. Avren casts Reduce on all enemies on the screen, and as if that wasn't enough, it reduces their damage. It deals some damage, but it reduces their size by half and their damage done by 50% for 15 seconds. And then he adds Insult to Injury by casting Enlarge on himself for the duration. And during that time, his base attack changes from Spectral Shards to Kick. So he shrinks you down, and he gets real big, and then he kicks you in the face. He kicks you in the face repeatedly. So yeah. And Kick has a knockback. As you can see over here, it changed. Kick has a knockback as part of it. Kind of a big deal. Pun intended. Pun intended. That's Avren. We're going to hop back over to Arkira because we're talking about Heroes of the Plains, so we might as well just... We've already had 2 Heroes of the Plains. Let's talk about the other one in this pack. We'll talk about the other one in this pack. So, Arkira, again, joins us from the Heroes of the Plains. Female Dragonborn Cleric of the Phoenix. Healing support. Arkira, the queen of debuffs in the game. There is also a king, but they're not in this pack. So one of the top debuffers in the game. Basic attack is Burning Hands. Arkira leaps to a random enemy and attacks with a small AoE cone of fire. Clerics of the Phoenix like fire, folks. First ability, Lesser Restoration. Arkira heals all non-adjacent damaged champions for an amount per second. Nobody's damaged here, but you can see if we hover over Arkira that she's pointing to places that aren't Catti-brie and Avren. So she would only heal those non-adjacent spots. So this wouldn't be an optimal positioning for Arkira. You would want as few adjacencies as possible while healing the tank, which means you would want to put her all the way back here, right? So this would be more ideal placement in this situation, but just keep in mind she can't heal adjacent to her. So you want to make sure she's not adjacent to your tank so your tanks stay alive. Unless you're in a situation where everyone's taking the same amount of damage, in which case, you know, you could probably ignore healing the tanks and just focus on healing the squishies. So placement identifier clue right here. Elemental Fire. Whenever Arkira damages an enemy, they receive 1 stack of Elemental Fire, taking 10% of Arkira's damage per second for 15 seconds. That's not super important because Arkira's not a DPS, so she's not going to do a whole lot of damage. And receiving, this is the big part, and receiving a % more additional damage from all attacks. This is her debuff. Elemental Fire is her debuff. It is an on-hit effect, so this is why we were saying, in ideal situations, you put on-hit effects next to Whittle, because Whittle makes you attack fast, so if they're a slow attacker, Arkira is actually one of the faster attackers in this formation, but if there was a faster attacker than Arkira, putting her next to Whittle would speed up that debuff application. This ability stacks up to 10 times additively, and attempting to add another stack will reset the cooldown of all stacks, so you can stack it right up and keep it there as long as she keeps attacking. Healing Flame, this is kind of the key that unlocks the major power for Arkira. Healing Flame increases the effect of Elemental Fire, the debuff, by 100% for each order of magnitude worth of effective healing done with Lesser Restoration on the current run. So the more you heal, the more her debuff goes up. The more her debuff goes up. So it's kind of a the best of both worlds type of situation. Now again, this is currently effective healing, which means the heals she's actually done. And in this situation, we've done none. Why? Because right now, she only heals if someone's been damaged. And no one's been damaged yet, right? So right now, 0 bonus. But wait, there's more. Her specialization choices, Breath of the Phoenix versus Tail Feather of the Phoenix. Breath of the Phoenix increases the size of Arkira's Burning Hands cone. And Elemental Fire then applies 2 stacks instead of 1. So it's a way to hit more enemies and ramp up those stacks faster. Sounds great, but wait. Tail Feather of the Phoenix increases the effect of Lesser Restoration by 100%, so she's healing twice as good. Lesser Restoration will now, quote-unquote, heal undamaged champions. And Healing Flame will count 1% of this non-effective healing as well. This is the one, folks. Always, 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 please shake your tail feather. What does this mean? It means you can now see fun green numbers popping up over the heads of the non-adjacent champions in my formation, because everybody's getting healed now. That's non-adjacent. So now we can come over here and look, and we can see our healing flame numbers ticking up. And now we can explain, what was that, Gaarawarr? What was that order of magnitude worth of effective healing done? This is scientific notation reference, folks. This game is a big number game. So you want to switch and learn. You want to learn and switch to scientific notation as soon as possible. If you've got a keyboard, hit Y. Why? Because it's the best. Okay. Orders of magnitude are this number after the E in scientific notation. So this is 1.97 EO4. This is 4 orders of magnitude. 4 orders of magnitude. That means I currently have 4 stacks here, which is now giving me an EO5 bonus, even just with 4 stacks, to this elemental fire debuff. And now I've ramped that debuff up to E11%. So it goes up real fast once you shake your tail feather, because now we're healing even though no one's taking damage, right? Okay, more with Arkira, more Kira. Ultimate, which we'll talk about in a moment. Self-sacrifice is a kind of interesting bonus ability. It is based off who she can heal, so again, this can't happen to adjacent champions, so keep this in mind. If a champion Arkira is able to heal is about to take a killing blow, so they're about to die, Arkira instantly swaps formation slots with that champion for 10 seconds and takes the hit for them. So basically, you move a non-tank champion up to probably a tank spot, and they take the hit instead. But it could also be squishies in places where you're in a situation where everybody's taking damage. During this time, Arkira's overwhelm point is set to twice the other champions, and neither Arkira or the other champion can be moved, removed, or swapped out. After the time expires, they swap back, regardless of whether Arkira and or the other champion died during that period. This can only happen once every 60 seconds. This can work out sometimes. But overwhelm point isn't this like a super amazing tanking thing that, I mean, if overwhelm isn't why the tank's dying, if they're just taking a lot of damage, then having more overwhelm doesn't, swapping her up with more overwhelm doesn't mean anything. She's just going to get hit in the face and fall over. But that's how it works. The ultimate is real cool. Radiance of the Phoenix. Arkira flies up over the enemies, grasping the domain of the Phoenix, that's her cleric book, and uttering a prayer, summoning the Phoenix to rain elemental fire down upon the battlefield. So summoning a god to burn your enemies alive. Pretty hot. This deals damage, increases the elemental fire stacks of affected enemies by 1 every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. So this will add 5 stacks over that period of time. Here we go. Flies up, calls forth the Phoenix, rains down holy fire, which would have lasted longer, but we nuked the boss. Oops. Yeah. So that one's pretty good. That one helps you. That's definitely something you do when you want to, like, get as many stacks on things as possible, as quick as possible. The ultimate will do it. Item-wise, double damage all champions. You get the lesser restoration bonus. So again, that's the heal. Then you get Arkira's Elemental Fire. That's the debuff. But wait, there's more. Then you get Healing Flame. That's the thing that turns the healing into a bigger debuff. Her items are just pretty fantastic, folks. And then you reduce the ultimate, which means you get all of that fire out even faster. She got a pretty solid item set, folks, if you can't tell. Feat-wise, damage all champions. You can buff the heals with lesser restoration. That's what, whenever you see these pluses, that's a healing feat of some kind. Then we get Elemental Fire. That's the debuff. Or you can have Flames of Rebirth, which is the healing flame. That's kind of, the in-between. And there's some higher level damageable champions, but honestly, you kind of want to stick with... I tend to stick with Elemental Fire if I'm doing some more Arkira stacking, which we're going to talk about. I will potentially throw in Spark of Renewal. Hey Gaarawarr, what's Arkira stacking? So, remember, because of Healing Flame, Arkira's debuff gets better the more you heal. The more you heal. So, if I bump her healing up as high as possible, right now, in this situation, we're gonna go back. Hold on. This is best done when you have pushed as far as you can push, and then want to push more. Ideally, you have reached soft cap on all the champions, which is the circle with a line through it down here, which means there's no more upgrades left. Ideally, that's the case. You jump all the way back to level 1, and you'll notice, look, we got some healing. It's E4s, there's an E5 up here, right? That's got us in the, because I swapped feats, that's got us in the E10 range for the Elemental Fire debuff. I've got EO5, effective healing. But let's take all of these people out. And do I have just a... Did I save? I did. Okay. And we're going to load in a very specific situation of formation. I will explain this in a moment. Let me just get everybody in here. So this is kind of a higher level gameplay feature of Arkira. Arkira can be manually managed in such a way that you boost her effective healing done. And it's all centered around Artemis and Trary. He's the dude in the black, the edgelord with, the black outfit in the middle. You have to have Artemis to do this. It's just not super effective without him. But Artemis has an ability where he observes buffs, like formation abilities that other champions receive, and then multiplies them. So there's a lot of interaction with there's interactions with DPS that are around him. He observes it off of DPS, so we have him surrounded by DPS. We can also buff some things with Alcoria and her Spellcaster School. That's buffing Arkira's healing. We've got Narak buffing Arkira's healing. And in the end, we went from that EO5 heal to, as you can see, over Artemis's head, E20. E20. Just in this formation, that can go higher in a 10 champ formation. This means we are now at 20 orders of magnitude of Healing Flame. And the debuff jumped all the way up to E16%. E16%. So numerous orders of magnitude of a bonus on the debuff. This is going to allow you, and remember, this stacks up to 10 times. This is going to allow you to push further than you normally would once you enable it. You tend to do this until you see, like, we're slowly ticking up through the E20 range. You tend to do this until it's going to take way too long for you to get another order of magnitude. So in this situation, I would do this until I hit E21, and then I would stop. And then I would put the regular feats back in for Arkira. I would put her debuff feats back in. I would put a regular pushing formation back in, and then I would go back to pushing. So we'll let this tick up a little bit. You can see 641 E16. It's not going to be a huge jump. getting to E21, but because we can easily get there, we might as well. Come on, you can do it. I believe in you. There we go. So we jumped up to E17. So it rounded up another to the next order of magnitude. So now I'm going to throw the elemental fire debuffs back in, or feats back in, and look at the actual total. So 323 E17 is going to be what we're working with on this run, which was, 7 orders of magnitude better than what we had before? Better than what, something like that. I think we were at E10 first. All right. So let us throw our friends back in. Who am I missing? Oh, Catti-brie. I'm missing somebody. Catti-brie, come back and join us. Okay, so that's kind of a quick and dirty explanation of Arkira stacking. Again, it relies on Artemis. This is, and it needs a lot of other, it needs some other types of champions, but, to really optimize it. But you can't really even start doing it without Artemis after having Arkira. So keep that in mind. Arkira is going to still just do fine for you as a debuffer and a healer, even if you can't do that whole Arkira stacking shenaniganry. But just know that you can get a very large increase in her debuff effectiveness if you do that. Yeah. And again, the key to that is Artemis, but I jump back to level 1 because, again, I don't need to take any damage because I chose the Shake Your Tail Feather feat, the Tail Feather of the Phoenix, which lets her get effective healing without anybody taking damage. Okay. That's Arkira. What do we want to do? Let's do Hyla next. Ayla's, if you've watched my streams at all, you probably have heard me say Ayla's my favorite tank in the game. Let's get our familiar friends back out here. I at least want them out, so that we're actually progressing a little faster than maybe we were without them. Simply because I have a lot of favor. Let's get a pixie riding a corgi out there because that's adorable. All right. Ayla comes to us from the Heroes of Erois. Female wild elf barbarian. If you watch the Heroes of Erois, you will know that's not right. But the Heroes of Erois is a homebrew campaign using D&D 5e rules. This was the translation into D&D 5e when they brought these champions into the game. All right. Base attack is the Howling Gale. Ayla attacks the nearest enemy with her Warhammer, the Howling Gale, knocking them back slightly. She's going to have some extra effects here, but just know that she gets a single target knockback. Storm Aura. Every 4 seconds, a random enemy approaching the formation is primed. They'll get a little icon on them when this happens. We're killing things way too quickly for you to see that, but just know that there's a little stormy, lightning-y icon for that. Primed enemies take 50% more damage from all champions, so this is a debuff. Heart of the Storm increases the health of all champions by 25% of Ayla's max health. This is the health share effect that all good tanks have. I think pretty much all tanks have this now. For a while, there was at least one that didn't, but I think they have it now. Storm Soul, when Ayla attacks a primed enemy, so again, this is queuing off that basic attack priming. This is queuing off the every 4 seconds priming. When she attacks a primed enemy, they're stunned for 2 seconds and electrified. This is a next level. They go from primed to electrified. This increases the damage they take from all champions, basically from everything, by a much larger percent. It's based on each alive electrified enemy. So the number of electrified enemies on the screen is what determines the value of the debuff she applies. So the more enemies there are, the bigger the debuff applies. It's kind of exactly the way you want it. She just slowly ramps up the damage you're doing over time. This is her kind of ramping tanking effect. Instead of them having to actually hit her, she makes this going by electrifying things. This means that she functions as a ramping support champion, even if she's not the tank. I love her as a tank, but say you love somebody else more as a tank, that's okay. You can still put Ayla in a formation and get this really nice debuff that ramps on the number of enemies that are electrified. Raging Storm. When Ayla attacks an electrified enemy, all nearby primed enemies are electrified. So what this does is it allows a situation where when they start grouping up in front of your tank, you may have only electrified one of them, but once you hit that one, because she's attacking the nearest enemy, once you hit them, it's going to go ahead and it's going to electrify everybody that was primed around her. So it's spreading that debuff and getting it to more people. This stuns them all for a half a second. Shielding Storm. When an electrified enemy attacks Ayla, again, that's the nearest enemy, so this is once they attack her in the formation, she gains a temp HP shield at 10% of her max health for each alive electrified enemy. Now, 10% of your health shield is not a lot. But you can have up to 101 enemies on the screen with some shenaniganry. 100 enemies is probably the more normal amount you're going to see, which means she can have a maximum effective shield of 1,000% of her health. That's one of the two biggest self shields in the game. The other one's Tyrell. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. But even at 50%, even let's say you only have 50 enemies on the screen, that's 500% of your health. That's a lot more than, I was going to say twice, but it's just a lot more than, say, Calliope, who's the core shielder in the game. Like, she's the support shielder that can shield everybody. But this is a self shield that Ayla procs herself. It resets. I think sometimes I've said 15 seconds. It resets, I believe, it actually at 30 seconds. So as long as she lives for that 30 seconds, she's then going to create that shield again. It's a big deal, folks. It's a big deal. Now, again, all this relies on priming enemies. So let's talk about her specialization. Stormcaller versus Stormbreaker. Normally, you automatically prime an enemy every 4 seconds. With Stormcaller, it reduces it by 2 seconds. So every 2 seconds, you prime an enemy. This makes sure that you're priming just about everything. Just about everything. So this is going to make sure that debuff is applied to just about everything. Because remember, it starts out as primed. Then once she hits it, it goes electrified and electrifies all primed things around her. So generally speaking, 99.9% of the time, Stormcaller is the way to go. Stormbreaker increases the Storm Soul stun by 2 seconds, and the length of the Raging Storm stun by half a second. So if for some reason you want Stunfest 2022, you could go Stormbreaker. But currently there isn't anything that triggers off of stuns in the game, so this could potentially be bigger if that ever happened. So right now, Stormcaller, kind of the way to go. Kind of the way to go, because everything is built off that priming mechanic that goes into electrified. So getting more enemies into that situation, real good idea. Real good idea. The Erois synergy, so some groups, but not all, some groups get a synergy feature, a called out synergy feature, on all of their champions. Some groups just have one champion that is like the synergy trigger. They've tried a couple different ways to do synergy. I find the Erois synergy is one of the best. Ayla contributes to the Erois synergy pool as follows: 100% per electrified enemy on the screen to a max of 10,000%. That's 100 enemies. Electrified enemies then take additional damage equal to 25% of the total Erois synergy pool. So She can contribute a very large amount, even if she's the only one. And then 25% of whatever that amount is additional damage on her debuff. So she just makes herself better with the Aerois synergy feature. And if you have other heroes of Aerois, they're contributing to the pool as well, making her debuff better. This is why I said each hero of Aerois is going to have a different effect, but they're all going to be based off this pool. So this is hers. It's pretty solid. Because who doesn't want more of a debuff? I mean, come on. Ultimate-wise, Storm Herald. Ayla unleashes lightning across all enemies, so this hits everything on the screen, damaging and stunning them for 5 seconds. So this just freezes everyone in place. Okay, I guess we're going to have to try to let some things come out. Boom, everything gets... Well, yeah, she just killed everything. That's just what's going to happen. She kills all the things. Yeah. But basically, if they could live at this stage of the game, they would have just been frozen on screen. Yeah. Lots of damage. Item-wise, damage all champions. We get the Storm Soul. That's the good one. That's the debuff. And then we get health, because she's a tank. You want it. And because her shield's based off her health, you want it. You want this one. This is huge for her survivability in multiple ways. Ultimate attack damage, ultimate cooldown. So that's it. You can't make things... she doesn't have anything that's going to affect any of her other abilities. Feat-wise, damage all champions. Health. She even has up to a 60% increase. So, man, when I want a lot of survivability on her, running that 60% increase feat with this next one, her Storm Soul, 80%. That's just the sweet combo. In fact, I've got it slotted up here. Because again, Storm Soul is the debuff. She also has some Overwhelm feats, but I mean, Mega Shield, so why bother? I mean, there's situations where you might need it. Also, Wisdom to +1. Wisdom +1. What does this do? This qualifies her for Narak. Narak has bonuses where he buffs nearby people, so Narak can basically boost her, and that includes boosting her health share. So when you can put Narak next to somebody, next to a tank with health share, you actually share more health with the entire formation and can make things more survivable. But yeah, so that's what that feat does. That's Ayla. We're on to the last member of Whittle's Champions of Renown. We're talking about that freebie pack that came out on Steam last week. Catti-brie is a knockout. It's going to knock you out. Catti-brie is one of the companions of the hall. Female human fighter in this iteration. Because everything about this game is like taking a snapshot of a moment in time. So this is the snapshot of Catti-brie earlier in her life, where she's still a fighter. She is a DPS / support, so she can play either role. I will tell you, I prefer her as a support, but I do enjoy me Catti-brie DPS in certain situations. Why situationally? Because her base attack is long shot. She shoots the furthest enemy with her bow. So she does not synergize with someone like, say, Krull, where Krull likes to apply a stack of a plague, and then the plague needs to build up to higher stack amounts, which means that it takes a while and to get to max stacks. They're sitting on the tank. Catti-brie would never attack them until you get to the point where there's 100 enemies on the screen. Catti-brie would never hit anything even remotely near the people that are building up on your tank. So not a great thing there. And right now you're probably going, well, then how is she ever situationally useful? There are variants in this game that swarm you with enemies that don't count towards your progress. And when that happens, especially when they have armor, normally with a regular DPS, you'd spend so much time chewing through all of those before getting to things that actually let you complete your level, while Catti-brie just goes, oh, that's nice, you got it, tank, and then kills all the stuff that actually gets you credit in the background and moves you forward faster. So as long as you have a solid tank up front, Catti-brie can pot shot all the credit stuff in the background, or shoot around trash mobs to kill a boss. It just depends. So again, situationally. Abilities. Powerful draw. Catti-brie deals additional damage to enemies the further they are from the formation. Starting at 0% when they're 20% away from the formation, up to 100% more damage when they're at the spawn point. This is just a little extra flavor that she really wants to kill things that are far away. That's all it is. It's not a huge deal. Critical hit. This is the huge deal. Catti-brie's attack has a % chance to crit for bonus damage. This % chance, this is the only crit in the game so far. This % chance starts out obviously below 100%. But as you see here, it can go over 100%. What does that mean? That means she will be guaranteed to crit. Once you get it over 100%, guaranteed to crit on every shot. And as you go up above, the further you go up above 100%, the more bonus damage that crit does. So this is a way that she can increase her own damage with these crits. There's a special call out when she does hit somebody with a crit. It's a different colored text above the enemy's head. Let's see if we can actually see it here. Oh, there it was. It's a golden. You're going to look for a golden damage text. There it went. And there's even a percentage that gets shown. Come on, Catti-brie, do it again. Do it again. There it went. ×2, right? Because that's the extra multiplier of damage. So you can see the crit as a call out on the screen. It's a golden damage number. Mark for death. When Catti-brie hits an enemy, they take more damage from all champions for 60 seconds. This is the debuff effect. During this time, if they get hit 10 times, they'll be, by anybody, they will be stunned for 5 seconds. So it's a little bit of a survivability feature, but also it's a debuff. It's a debuff that lasts for 60 seconds. So that means you can apply it, and you should be able to swap her out and let it linger. You need to test that one. I actually haven't tested Catti-brie. I think it works. Death March increases the damage of Catti-brie and champions ahead of her by 25% for every marked for death enemy, as well as 25% for every enemy that has been stunned by mark for death. Because once they're stunned, like the mark for death could have faded because it only lasts for 60 seconds. But if they've been stunned in that period, they continue to count to Death March. This is her support ability. But again, buffing based off the number of applied things. This is another situation where you would want her next to Whittle and next to a fast attack, somebody that's going to make her attack faster than she normally would, to apply these marks as much as possible. Specializations. This is basically when you first get her and your crit chance is low. This is damage versus support. So follow up when Catti-brie crits, her next 4 base attacks hit for more damage, 100% more damage. This is kind of what most people would use if they're DPSing with her before she gets guaranteed crits. Now it reads like, well, but if she has guaranteed crits, then isn't she just always doing more damage? Sure, but in the zone, when Catti-brie gets a crit, her attack cooldown is reduced by 1.5 seconds for 10 seconds. This is actually the better situation. You would think this is the support one because it's going to apply for more marks, and you're not wrong. But when you can crit every time, that means her cooldown stays reduced all the time. And thus you crit, it just do more damage, and you can just clear waves. So in the zone, once you get her crit, to much higher, I like at least 100%. In the zone just becomes the only thing you'll ever choose. The only thing you'll ever choose. And yeah, that is reducing the cooldown on her base. See, we're down to 305 because she crit recently. So she lost a second and a half on her base attack cooldown. And once she gets that going, as long as there's enemies on the screen for her to keep attacking, it's going to stay that slow. And if she's next to Whittle, she's going to propagate that effect to everybody. Right? Everybody is now attacking at 305. Right? Everybody. Boom. Right? So this is the nice thing about in the zone. This is a nice thing about in the zone. And what makes it so strong? Take them down. This is the companion's version of a synergy effect. Catti-brie increases the bounty of the haul pool. So this is their version of a pooled thing, but it's a gold find bonus by 100%. And if all enemies on the screen are marked, enemies take 100% more damage per companion of the haul in the formation. Now this is just Catti-brie, but obviously if there were more, and you were basically it's a build up. So this would create a build up of this marked, and you'd have a lot more damage. Yeah, it's kind of a version of a ramping thing. It's just not overly amazing. So it's okay. Here's what I love about Catti-brie. Like I said, I enjoy her situationally as a DPS. I like her as a support. Her ultimate cues off that crit effect. Empty the quiver. Catti-brie shoots 6 arrows at once from her bow. Each enemy hit by the arrow can be crit by all champions using Catti-brie's crit chance and damage bonus for 30 seconds. So folks, I am now up to 520% chance to crit for bonus damage. This is going to be a multiplier, an X5 multiplier against the bonus damage. So I'm going to get 5 times this bonus damage with this crit. And when I hit empty the quiver, everybody can crit for that amount. It tends to be just a real destructive thing. When you fire it off, it is definitely a boss killer, but it's also just a damage spike, right? Because you're critting their base attack. That's going to raise your bud, right? And bud is your bud. Bud is your buddy. So Catti-brie's ultimate, pretty fantastic. Item-wise, damage all champions and a self-damage because she is a DPS and a support. So this does make her a little on the weaker side for items whenever they're trying to do multiple things at once. This increases your crit chance, so this is the one you want to raise to get that crit chance up to 100% or higher. This increases the effect of critical hits, so this is the bonus damage. This increases marked for death, right? And then we reduce the cooldown on the ultimate attack, which is perfect. So the rest of her kit, item-wise, yeah, everything you'd want. Just, a little bit weaker up here because she's trying to beat 2 things. Damage all champions feats, self-damage feats as well, including a purple one for 120% when you want a DPS with her. There's a small death march, 40% death march. She gets a charisma and a strength bonus. The charisma takes her to... Oh, is it Zariel? No. She's already... I can't remember what the charisma 14. That one may be the kind of useless one. Sometimes there's like a... Why did they do that? There's probably some... Oh, it qualifies her for Hitch. Qualifies her for Hitch. So this lets Hitch support her. And then Strength actually allows her to work with Krond. Krond is a big boy DPS. Put on your big item pants. You need a big item and you need a lot of item levels on Krond. But then Catti-brie can support Krond as a 16 strength fighter, and bring a lot to the table. So as you can see, I was doing that with her the other day. So those are her feats. So one is Hitch and the other is Krond. The other is currently with her feat applications. That's all of our Champions of Renown, folks. Whittle's Champions of Renown this time. So we're going to take a short little musical break to listen to a song about Whittle, and then we'll be right back. See you in a little bit.
Let's give it a shot.
Okay.
Let's do it.
This could be it.
She's a little bit evil, a little bit good. She's a little bit sneaky, little misunderstood. Running away from her crimes like a spider she climbs. She's a little bit hero, a little bit villain too. She's a little bit scary, but way faster than you. No matter where you run, she'll be there pointing a gun. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of an evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a little bit devil, dread domains woe, very quick on her feet while misleading her foes. But after a vampire's attack, her heart was turned blind. She stepped out of time and stole the devil's rod. Then she dropped her to rest on top of a god. She saved a friend with a pack. Now there's no turning back. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of the evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a hound in the night, and a tempest bite. For a friend she will find. She's what goes bump in the night. She keeps her soul from running aground. With her friends and allies she's found. She battles devils below and the gods above. She's dying to save the one she loves. She's a tinker and a thinker, a wizard with her tools, a widow of evil, and she suffers no fools. She's a hound in the night, and a tempest bite. For her friend she will find. She's what goes bump in the night. Yeah, we did it.
It's so good. I'm so happy with it.
It feels good.
Huh? What? Oh, no. I'm kidding, folks. I really want to fall back asleep. Last night, if you don't know, yesterday was we celebrated C&E Sean's birthday by playing some D&D. Mars, the moderator today, and a fellow streamer on the channel, Mars and I were both part of that game, and it went real late, folks. It went real late. I'm real tired. So to those of you who usually come join me on my channel, Twitch TV/Gaarawarr, later today for the Vidya Game streams, gonna be starting a little later because I'm taking a nap after this. I'm taking a nap after this. I'm a little bit tired. I'm a little bit tired. Oh boy. All right, so I'm going to dive in. Hey, everybody asked lots of questions. Mars grabbed a couple dozen questions. So let me hit the stuff up that's pertinent to Whittle's Champions of Renown first. Then I will come back. So, what's the best way to spec Ayla MT Caisson? Left spec. The one that basically primes things more often is, in my opinion. Lots of general questions. That's fine. We will come back to these. Let me see if there's anything else, though, that's specifically to this group. Mars says, lately I've been experimenting with formations that use Whittle and Alindra, because Alindra buffs Whittle's % chance to reset champion's attack. But my question is, like, why, though? How does that work? I don't know. Alindra is in an interesting position. She's got some interesting stuff going on, especially when, you know, she's with other heroes of Erois, or heroes of heroes of the Plains. Legends of the Multiverse? No. So it's an interesting situation, because while other groups have some kind of synergy effect that's spread out among everybody, the synergy effect for the Heroes of the Plains is all on Alindra's shoulders. All of it. Yeah. Yeah. Mars is like, I used Alindra, Whittle, and Narak yesterday, and for Narak DPS, and Narak had 1,000% chance to reset his attack. Yeah. But was it actually, I mean, was it, you got to look at those. Sometimes with Narak, it's just a visual effect. Sometimes it actually happens. But yeah, it can get a little wild with Githzerai Focus. Yo, Dice Goblin, how does Whittle work in combination with Puent? Puent, it would still be slowing down the attack speed of adjacent champions. However, because Whittle then just automatically moves everybody to the fastest, you get the bit of the best of both worlds. Because you're still going to get the buff based off the difference. You should still get the buff based off the difference. You know what? Let's go make sure. Let's pull some people out. Let's just use Puent and somebody. Let's maximize that, and then let's throw in. So we're gonna have We're gonna have some fast attacks in the form of Catti-brie. So we're gonna get that 305, which means Puent is attacking super fast as well, which is good because he's a debuffer, or not a debuffer. Well, his is based off Mark stuff. But what we see here is Whittle gets slowed down a lot, right? Because this effect doesn't apply to Whittle, but it does affect things around Whittle. So Ashara's still getting 305, but is next to Puent. So Whittle is actually now not as slow, 1125, because that effect gets split amongst the adjacent champions. So where's it at? Gustbuster recruits. No, that's the Candy Smell That. So here we go. Increases the cooldown of Ashara's base attack by 13 seconds. So this is actually applying. And we're having a multiplier. Yeah, and we're still getting we're still getting the stacks from the increase, which would normally be around 7, because it'd be around 10 is what she would be at. Let's just make sure, because we'll move her here. And we'll look. And we'll look. No, that's up to 12. Well, so it's not working quite the same way. It's speeding Puent up, but it's not necessarily giving you... Well, no, because we didn't lose 9. We didn't lose 9. Here. Yeah, we still have the 7. So this was the one. I was looking at the wrong one. Gutbuster Recruits. I told you I'm tired, folks. Gutbuster Recruits is still current stack 7, regardless of whether she's next to Whittle or not. So you're still getting everything here. You're still getting everything you want. So that's more of a best of the both worlds situation with Puent. I don't know. Puent's okay. He's not amazing, but he's okay. One day he'll be like the lore version of himself. Arkira Sky, how do you unlock Raven? Well, some people unlocked them this pack on Steam by being on Steam when the giveaway happened. Otherwise, you unlock Avren in a time gate. I believe Avren is now relegated to... Yeah, Avren is now relegated to time gates. They're a time gate champion because they were a year 3 Liar's Night champion, and that's already happened. Year 3 Liar's Night already happened, so... Or year 5 Liar's Night already happened, so Avren is now retired. Living in a condo on the beat. No. It just means you can only get them in a time gate now. Can you switch Arkira's specialization with a potion after stacking? Keep the stacks. Dracanics. Ooh, that's dangerous. Okay. I am at E21, 21 stacks. Usually when you do this kind of stuff, I've never tested this. It resets. But let's say we want to go over to Breath of the Phoenix. Ah, we kept it. So you could stack it all the way up, swap specs, and get the larger AoE cone with the double build-up. So yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing. I usually just rely, I'll be honest, I usually just rely on the ultimate to stack things up. Dice Column for people who want to know, which live show is Ayla from? The High Rollers. That's Mark Hume's show. High Rollers is my understanding. It's been a while since I've watched High Rollers, but I'm pretty sure that's where they come from. In UK, I may have missed this, but do you normally use the Wisdom +1 feat for Ayla, or do you prefer the 2 other feats? I use the other 2 feats. Because I'm not usually running Ayla with Narak. Yeah. So it just depends. If I have Narak in the formation and they are next to Ayla, then I would switch. Yeah. Oh, NH95 with the key question: which do you prefer, Stormbringer Ayla or Valkyrie Ayla? These are skins. I think I only own one of them. I own Valkyrie. So that's the one that I use. It's supposed to show other stuff, but yep. Let's see, and I also prefer Witchlight or Arkira. Although there is an Owlbear or Arkira in the store right now. I like Ascendant Whittle. I prefer Ascendant Avren. And who else is that? Oh, Catti-brie's got a great one right now. She has a lot of skins, folks, but the special guest star Catti-brie, which is her drawn in the 80s cartoon style. Love it. Love it. There we go. Everybody's decked out in new fancy outfits. All right, I'm going to go back to the beginning here. I'm going to answer all the regular questions. Let me turn progress back on just for funsies. Arkira Sky, are events weekly or monthly? They happen every 3 weeks. So no and no. That either or question was wrong in both situations. Every 3 weeks is the normal rotation for events. Let me get some familiars back out. Yeah, there we go. Habulin, any plans for familiar bundle as in multiple familiars? I don't know. I'm not a developer. I'm also not in the marketing department. Well, I'm not at CNE at all. So I couldn't even answer that. And even if I was, I probably couldn't say. But that's not a question that I can even remotely come. I know people have asked for that, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Until they announce it publicly, I won't know. Meki Murausu, what would you want to ask about Mars? I don't understand the context of that question. Mars, was there context to that question? I don't know, Meki. If there was some context I missed there, let me know. The old Dice Goblin. How was the D&D game yesterday? Long. Long. No, it was a lot of fun. It just went a lot longer than I think anybody expected to. Because, like, here's the thing with one shots: you've never played the characters before, so the more times you enter into combat or try to do something funny with the character that requires their abilities, the more it slows down, right? Because you're like, oh, what can I do again? What do I want to do in this situation? And then we were playing what is the most polite term? Chaotic? Not alignment chaotic, but very chaotic champions or characters in the sense that they were very not normal. They were very not the normal, I think, champions that you would be running around with, or characters that you'd be running. I'm just relating it to idle champions, because all of our champions from that one shot need to be in this game. Yeah, it was a good time though. I enjoyed it. It's just real tired. Real tired. Mars was asking us for questions. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, then that didn't need to go in the document. Does it make sense that I turn auto progress off when Dungeon Master is a unicorn? I mean, I don't know why you would. The whole point is to continue to move forward. Unless you just like to look at uni. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, it doesn't do anything for you. I mean, I know you get more gold find when that's happened, but it's not. Don't worry about it. Just keep moving. Keep moving forward. The Fragile. If you use a familiar in one team, will it be removed from the pool for use in another team? Yes. Everything is unique between parties. Dragonstar. I forgot what realms Idle Champions takes place in. The game is called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. So there you go. Valdemar Night Road. Is there a way to save Modron Core layout so I can tinker? Oh, yeah. There's a big button. My trial just ended. Hey, at least I was at the keyboard when it ended. There's a big button up here at the top left. It says save, load, clear. So once you build one, save it, and then you can name it. Is it going to let me? No, because I already... Oh, did I just break? I broke the game. Why does it always do this to me? There we go. But yeah, there's a save feature. There's a save feature. I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't. Lately, sometimes the Modron, the new UI, has a couple issues. But yeah, save it. Then you can clear it out and do whatever you want. And then you can always load your formation back in. Armanis. With Whittle able to bring... I didn't see the Whittle earlier. Sorry. With Whittle able to bring Strix's attack cooldown way down, does that make her a viable DPS with the Anxious Fireball spec? It removes the problem with the spec, which is that the attack damage increase drops your Bud a lot. And Bud is a big deal. So it does remove that function. She still does the same amount of damage. So if you weren't relying on Bud, it's not like she increases her damage. She just throws fireballs out more often. So viable. I mean, I think she's a viable spec DPS anyway. It's just she didn't get the same amount of. She doesn't really get the Bud up as much because you're in anxious fireballs because Bud is based off the damage divided by your attack speed. And the attack speed increase on that just kills the division. So yeah, I mean that should fix the Bud problem there. But whether or not she's a viable DPS just depends on how much damage she's doing. Dipuza, is it better to leave the game running instead of save and exit? Do you get the same bonuses offline? You do not get the same. I mean, the game will run offline, but it runs slower. Offline progress is a thing because, mobile, like whether you're on a tablet or a phone, and consoles kind of have to turn the game off, obviously. You're not running 24/7. So there is some background progress, but it's not the same speed as leaving the game open. Sailnet, off-topic question. Resolution do you run the game in? Oh. Jeez, I don't know. Oh, God. Wow. I totally broke the UI. So this is what happens, Mars. I don't know if you can make a note for Sean. The new Modron UI creates invisible UI elements. So when I hit escape to open the menu, the game blurs out because the menu's there, but I can't see it. So that's what happened is I couldn't see the save screen overlay. And now I can't see the menu, regardless of how I do it. That's a problem. Let me restart. Because I don't know. I don't play in full screen because I move this, I move my client in between windows regularly. If I need to focus on it, or if I'm just kind of AFK, I'll move it around. So I don't remember. The monitors that I move it between are 1920 by 1080, but it is less than that. So hold on. Okay, now I'm going to go to settings. Display 1600 by 900. Yeah, so I use 1600 by 900. Okay. And that's not off topic. I mean, we're in the off topic section. That's fine. I will always try to do all the off topic stuff. Anyway, Razor, at the end of the running, conversion of favors, the amount converted based on the total of accumulated or total currently banked. Oh, like in the campaign, it's the total. It's the total. Like if I go to multiply against Torm, it's going to count this E66 plus this E24. It does this so that you're not forced to reset and thus lose some favor just to maximize. It's going to look at your total. It's a good question, Ison. In it to back in year one. Back in year one, when the people answer, when the person that was answering support tickets was David, one of the developers of the main developers of the game, you could submit tickets and get. And the person who did some of this stuff would just answer your questions. That was the answer. Now it's Sean and Taylor, and they have that information, but it's, it was just funny. Back when their support team was literally one of the main developers. Pork Belly, I just wanted to say your beginner guide is fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad it helped you. I was able to unlock Dragon Bait and Azaka in less than 9 days. Wow, 9 days! Along with completing the event in all variants. Fantastic. That's my new player reference over on the subreddit wiki, for anybody wondering. Rubio, I'm just starting out the game. Welcome. Struggling to get past 175 with the OG cast plus those from the events. Meh. What's the best way to farm for progress? You kind of just have to, once you get to your wall, so around 175-ish, whatever that number is, maybe try adjusting your formation a little bit. Look at some of these cues for placement. that I was just talking about. You know, if it says, you know, adjacent, and are you getting all of the formation placement cues? So you're maximizing all the buffs. If that's if that is the best formation you can get, then that's just where you're at right now, in terms of your overall pushing power. And you're not going to get much further. And that's if you're newer, yeah. That's kind of it. That's kind of it. But you'll get more power as you progress. It's just right now you just might not be able to. Emperor, who is the king of debuffs you mentioned? My first guess would be Krull, yeah. Krull is still the king of debuffs. Freely is right up there like Crown Prince. And in the right situations, you might take over the throne. It's just really tough. But Krull has been the king of debuffs for quite a long time. Habulin, can DM unlock champs that were locked during Split the Party? No. Also, he should be available regardless of getting him locked. No. That's not how that works. The Dungeon Master can go in any variant, like any adventure, any variant, regardless of the restrictions of the variant, to start in the variant. But if the variant has a rule that removes him during play, he's removed. And if you go in and you're using Split the Party doesn't have any restrictions that keep you from using any champions, so DM would never be able to special guest star anybody. Because that's you have to read the order of operations of the rules are DM looks to see if there's restrictions that wouldn't allow him to join the adventure and joins anyway. But then if the adventure has something that goes on that kicks out random champions, he can just get kicked out, right? This is the order of operations. And then for special guest star, it's looking to see if any champions were restricted out based off the variant rule restrictions, not effects that happen in the variant, but restrictions for starting the variant. If there aren't any restrictions for starting the variant, special guest star doesn't even happen. So, yeah. It doesn't... DM's rules don't say can never be removed from a formation. That's not what it says. So you just gotta read exactly what's going on and look at the order of operations. 919, what's the best way to get more chances of getting golden epics on items? There isn't. That isn't a thing. Golden epics aren't a random chance. That's a potion of polish. That's a shiny. This is both gilding, but they're different, right? Like, this is a shiny. This is a golden epic. Like, we're talking about the interior border. Versus, shiny, silver, golden. In all but like 4 cases, goldens come from spending cash in the shop. Period. There's one. The 4 cases though are each patron has 1 for sale with patron currency for evergreen champions. Shinies though are just a 1 in 1,000 chance to come out of a chest that drops gear, and it will drop. It could potentially for any champion that qualifies for gear from that chest. So this is like silvers, golds, electrums, named silvers, named golds, patron chests, weekend chests, but not supply chests, which only drop or Bahamut chests, which only drop consumables. So yeah, and there's no way to increase that. 1 in 1,000, no pity timer. Smuggle Beer, does Nyla get health share in Vengeance spec? No. Your guide says she does not, but the wiki says she does? No. Hold on. That should be no. Vengeance spec. Oh, did they change Nyali? since I wrote my guide. I'm just going to max her out because obsessive. So Aura of Courage, Aura of Protection, Oath of Vengeance, and nothing else ever. Nothing else ever. She does get health. She would cap out here. Well, I've got other people in the I've got another tank in the formation. Let me. She cap out here. 180 EOA. Did that really not? 184. Yeah. Okay. So 180 EO8. Right. But if I look at, but Vengeance or Devotion is her tanking spec. So not only it does a lot more than just increase the health of Nightly. They need to fix this by 70. It does way more than that. We are now at 273 EO8, so we have a lot more total overall health. And if we scroll down, we see Aura of Heroism has now kicked in with the health share. So yeah, she doesn't get her tanking features, like her health tanking features, unless she's in Devotion spec. Ribio, who are the fastest attackers? Oh, off the top of my head, I don't know. What I can say is Ishii will always attack fastest, but that doesn't necessarily trigger. Whittle. That effect doesn't propagate to Whittle. But if you look at people who have fast base attacks, I mean, there's probably a lot. I don't have that. There are now 100 champions in the game, and I do not have all their base attack speeds memorized. I know the fastest you can get without Ishii's just "I'm always attacking faster" feature is like Artemis, because he can observe those attack speed reductions and get real low, like sub 1 second. But that isn't necessarily even accurate, because it's hard to say, your animation, attack speed animation has a specific duration for each champion, and it's different based off each champion. So it might not even whatever it says, it may be attacking slower than that. Yeah. But here's the thing: attack speed isn't. I know in some games attack speed, like speed. Oh my god, everybody wants attack speed because that's the big thing. That isn't necessarily always the case. Again, the biggest bonus the biggest thing you get out of Whittle's attack speed is that your on-hit debuffers can apply those debuffs faster. That's the big deal. It's nice when it hits the DPS, because then you might get faster wave clear when you need it, but it doesn't increase the DPS's damage. It might increase your bud, but clearing stuff with ultimates falls off before you truly hit your wall in the current iteration of the game. So Jokero, once clicking isn't killing stuff, should I just move my familiars to click on leveling or click on ultimates? I personally move them to this roaming ultimate bar. If I only have like 4 or less, I move them here once clicking doesn't do anything for me anymore. And then I just let them smash that ultimate for me in an automated way. Now, if you have enough familiars to automatically upgrade all of your champions, has to be all of them, then sure, you can move them to leveling and then switch this to upgrade instead of just to free level, and then it'll only upgrade them to the next upgrade amount, so you're not wasting gold, basically. It's just more efficient that way. But otherwise, roaming the ultimate bar. How to get the first Modron from Ribio. you have to complete an adventure called Split the Party. It only becomes available to you this when you have 2 champions in every bench slot. When you have 2 champions in 6 bench slots, this button shows up, Adventuring Parties. And then it will tell you, like over here, it'll say unlock a new party, but it'll tell you you're locked out because you need 2 champions in each bench slot. So once you get 2 champions in each bench slot, you can do Split the Party. And once you qualify for it, you can do it. Absolutely. It's a little challenging. It's a little weird. But I've got a guide for that. And you can do it with core champions. You don't even need event champions. That just makes it a little more forgiving. So yeah, Split the Party. Why is Bud so important? Because Bud is the measure of your actual attacking damage. This is the number. Like up here, there is base DPS, which is a lie. There's running average, which is still a lie, but not as lie-y as base DPS. They're kind of both. This one's super gaslighting you, and this one's just kind of only occasionally gaslighting you. Whereas Bud's like you're straight up Bud. So as you can see, there's a hit number. That's a literal hit that Catti-brie did, divided by her attack speed, giving you your actual damage per second if you were to continuously attack at that level. Now it degrades. You can see under that it tells you how long ago that hit happened. So if you're doing that damage consistently, you're going to see it's going to be at 0% degradation. So your Bud is going to be that actual DPS number. If you're spiking damage occasionally due to stacking debuffs or something, then you will see it start to degrade a little bit until it hits hard again. But this is the number that all of your ultimates use to calculate their damage, and also some champions' abilities, like Stokey has an explosion. Her key explosion is based on Bud damage. Yorvin has a spec that allows damage to go off to somebody else. I think that one's based off Bud. There's lots of things now, abilities that trigger off Bud based damage. So Bud is your Bud. Bud's going to tell you between Bud and the area number you're able to push to. This is how you determine how good your formation is. How good your formation is. Not this stuff up here. This stuff up here is garbage. Garbage. They're trying to do stuff, and let me tell you, base DPS is way better than what they originally had, but it's still a liar. It's still a liar. It's like, yeah. So I'm dating someone new, and they don't lie to me as much as the last person, but no, that's still a liar. Simmons, do you have links to the newer best methods for gem farming? Are there new guides on this? I mean, look, when you're first starting out, player's first gem farm is still Mad Wizard. You're still just using as many speed champions as you have, and you run a Mad Wizard. To click kill stuff. Yorvin isn't based on Bud, but it's captive. Okay. Well, that's kind of then. Okay. So yeah, I mean, that's Mad Wizard is still. The guides that talk about Mad Wizard are still the thing. It's just you want to, the key is always use as many speed champions as you have. So some of them may not have some of the newer speed champions. The kind of a higher level thing is automated Briv gem farming. This is in-game automation. This uses your Modron core and your familiars. And lots of real crunchiness. I use the term crunchy by meaning you're really getting into all of the mechanics of all the champions and idle champions as a game to create a system that auto loops and auto stacks Briv using in-game automation and not external scripts. That's a thing. It may hurt your brain a bit when you first start trying to figure it out, and some people kind of just give up when it's just okay, and don't try to super optimize it. But it's a total thing. But you have to have Briv You have to have Dragon Bait. You have to have Humon. Well, I guess you have to have Briv and you have to have Dragon Bait. But you want Humon. And beyond that, it's flexible. Usually you're using Minsk, but Minsk just comes with the account. So yeah, you have to have at least those 3 champions. And Briv and Humont want lots of item levels. It's a Calixo. Can Electrum chest drops to be shiny? Yeah, because they have gear. Any chest that drops gear can drop a shiny. Any chest that drops gear can drop shiny gear. Nizkiz, any idea why Stokey was called Pickle? Stokey was called Pickle? No, her name is Stammy. Stammy Gackle. I don't know where Pickle is. I don't know what that reference is to. Was this from a live game? Oh, I don't know. Oh, it's in the game files? That's not... Look, if it's not fronted, it's not real. If it's not fronted, it's not real. This is a CNE original character, so if this was not... Yeah, if this was not something that ever made it to the public, then it's not a thing that actually happened. Yeah. That was... Yeah, I don't know. That was probably a nickname they were using early on, and then they went with Stokey instead. Because her name's actually Stammy Gackle. So they changed it to Stokey. 1-2 is 1-2. Should I save up my gold chest for the pity timer number or just open them as I get them? If you're new, just open them when you get them. Open them as you get them. The pity timer is going to stay. It doesn't matter. You can just open them. Is there more chance to get more epics when opening multiple chests? No. Nope. Basically, when you open multiple chests at once, it runs a simulation, opens them one at a time in order. So you get the same stuff. Blade Edge, no. Shadows, new to the game. Welcome. Only have 3 time gate pieces. Yep, no, that's, yeah. So you've been here about 15 days. Unless you got one for free somewhere. Should I use them to unlock Mert or hold for the time gate event? Unlock Mert! Unlock Mert! You want to unlock Mert because every patron can sell you a time gate piece every week. So the sooner you unlock Mert, the sooner you can start that snowball of time gate pieces, 1 extra time gate piece a week. You do have to get a little bit of influence with Mert, and you do have to earn some currency every week to buy it, but this is your priority when unlocking a patron, is getting it so that you getting enough influence and currency so that you can start buying that time gate piece every week. This is the snowball train to unlocking every champion in the game via time gates. The second priority, Modron component chests. Once you've done split the party, you want to make sure you're buying your Modron component chest each week from each patron you qualify for. Each week for each patron you qualify for. So time gate pieces, Modron component chests. That's where your currency should be going when you start unlocking patrons. Ignore everything else at first. Just get your time gate piece and your Modron chest. Got about 12 minutes. I'm trying to get through all of these, and I want to come back because somebody wants to know D&D game info, but I want to answer game question stuff first. Fantastic Tanuki. Does it matter what gear level I have for split the party? No. I now have 2+ champions for each slot. No, just go in and do it. If you fail the first time and you want help, go read my guide. Wicked One. With regards to Bud and average damage, has anyone figured out what is happening with Crydle? He can get kills with low Bud, but high average even without any clicking familiars. I mean, his Bud doesn't... If that's still happening after the fix... Because the issue was with his ultimate. His ultimate was basically double dipping. His ultimate was double dipping, which with low Bud wouldn't matter because it would double dip with some debuff stuff, and yeah. that was problem. So it didn't even matter that if you were click or anything. If there was a debuff on the enemy and the enemy got hit with the ultimate, wrecked. If you have updated to the newest version, so past this one where it fixed Cridle Smoke Bomb, and that's still happening, so submit a bug report, have them continue to look into it. But yeah, Crazy Matt Captain, how's Dragonbait help Briv Modron farming? It's in the guide. Basically, Dragonbait's ramping effect off of enraged enemies doesn't require him to be the tank. So you use that to trigger the wave clear after building up to 100 enemies that are beating on Briv. This is how you control how many stacks Briv is earning and how fast it resets. Is Dragonbait. How do Briv and Dragonbait work together? Yeah, same question. Zeke has a guide for that. It's in the resource channel. In the Discord, there's also a thread off that resource channel for that conversation. And there's lots of information in that thread. That's you duplicated. Mars, you're duplicating. I think you copy pasted the wrong thing. That's the same question twice. I feel you. I'm tired. Joan of Arc, what are some of the key other champions for running an Artemis DPS formation besides Artemis? Oh, he likes to observe support DPS champions, but are there any you feel are more effective than others? Off the top of my head, no. I did Gaarawarr's guide to the Artemis meta a while back. That should be up on the YouTube. I would check that. Artemis wants champions with positional formation abilities. He wants to observe them off of DPS champions. But just because a DPS is a DPS support doesn't mean they have positional formation abilities as a support. You do want that, but it's even better if they have those PFAs. And the ultimate irony, Nerds is really good with Artemis. So there you go. There's one example. Nerds is really good for Artemis. T5 cats. So we need 3 time gate pieces to open our first page. Mert. Yeah. Specifically Mert, when you're looking at them and they're locked, it says, you need some silver chests and you need 3 time gate pieces plus you have to have a certain number of champions. But Mert's the only one that needs time gate pieces, so. With regards to Cridlemon, iOS seems not fixed. Oh yeah, it probably hasn't patched out. Yet. So on PC, that patch has gone out. On other platforms, it's going to take a little while. So if you're on a platform other than the PC and you don't have that bug yet, or you don't have that bug fix yet, Cridle can actually double dip on DPS. Okay. Unless another pertinent question comes in, we're going to close out with Smuggle Beer going, can you finally tell us your character from your D&D game last night? Yeah, I wasn't telling anybody because it was a big secret. It was a big secret. Mars, can I tell him your character? Is that okay? I mean, I think people know that character, right? Yeah, okay. I don't want to tell anybody. I don't want to tell Lee's character, but without Lee's permission. Mars played the return of Jacques of all trades. Which if you've watched some of the past day of streaming, was that the Extra Life, the big long Extra Life day? So Jacques all trades returned. But it was an earlier point in time than what you've previously seen Jacques. But he did have the Crystal Blade. He is still 1 level in almost every profession. So yeah, this was what we played last night was not streamed. For good reason, because my character, if people that have been around for a while will know this callback. My character was Sortle the Bard. Sortle the Bard. Sortle the Bard has been something I wanted to make happen for a very long time. Ever since in Bardic Inspiration, we made the song for Jarlaxle, the secret lord of Luxon, where he said his Sortle, whatever the quote is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they quoted, like, they combined to get the word sword will to fit in the song. He basically hyphenated or apostrophed Sortle, and I was like, Sortle? That needs to be the Bardic Inspiration mascot. Sortle the Bard. So I was an animated, sentient, dancing sword. There's an animated, sentient, dancing sword that was a College of Swords bard. It was a College of Swords bard. Which is why I wanted to keep that secret, because it's like, you're going to play what? I wanted that moment where I appear in the narrative as a sword, just to shock the hell out of everybody in the formation. But it's good that it wasn't streamed, because this version in this game, Sean said, "Well, you're all in jail. That's how it's going to start. Is you're all in jail. You need to tell me why you're in jail." And I was like, you know what? This version of Sortle is normally a very encouraging, enthusiastic, very much like Clippy from Windows type of character. But in this version, Sortle was very angry and rude. So he had insulted a nobleman with his vicious mockery. And yeah. So Sortle was very rude, very much trying to start a revolution. This is very much the edgy version of Sortle, yes. He put the woke and awakened. He was trying to make a revolution of weapons. At one point, like right out of the gate, we walk out, and they're like, "Hey, you can go to this weapon shop and pick up some weapons." And I'm like, "Dude, what the? I'm right here." Like, and then I'm grumbling on the way over there, like, they wouldn't ask a bunch of people to go to a people shop, would they? To buy people? Come on. Like, so, and then I'm like roaming the shop going, "Hey, anybody want to break out? Who else here is awakened?" Like trying to rouse awakened weapons. And Sean rolled with it, and went very Toy Story, where all of the shields and weapons in the game can actually talk, but they don't do it when people are around, but they'll talk to each other telepathically. So I was having conversations with shields and weapons in that shop, and then the rest of the game, asking for people's consent and all that kind of stuff. Like, it was fantastic. Yeah. So I got to play Sortle the Bard finally. And let's just say, folks, if you think that a game where one character is Jacques all trades, which is one level in all the things that Mars listed in chat, barbarian, bard, cleric, druid, fighter, monk, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, warlock, wizard. If a game with that and an animated sentient magical sword that floats through the air and is a bard and has a mage hand that does stuff for them, is the wildest possible thing that could happen in that game. Trust me. It wasn't. I will let like Sean probably share more. Talk to Sean on Formation Save, and have him share what absurdities happened in that game. Final question, Neon Treon. What's a good champion from Time Gates for my second champion for slot 10 for Split the Party? Havilar. And that's it, folks. We are done. Again, normally I stream in like a few hours from now on my own channel. Today it's going to be a little later because I'm going to go take a nap, or at least try to. I'm probably just going to fall over right after this stream's over. we're gonna go out today. This is the final stream on CNE for the weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We're gonna go out with a song for Catti-brie. This is a real old clip, and it's got some I don't know, Twitch things, but it's, you know, it's still a good clip. So enjoy Catti-brie. She's a knockout, and I will see you next week. Bye, everybody.
When I first saw her, she was breaking some bones, dropping hair and fists making stone, busting heads all on her own. Whoa, whoa. You better run if she's coming for you. Hot seeker, always shoots through. Look out, Catti-brie's coming through. Whoa. She's a knockout, gonna knock you out. She's leaving no doubt, that's what she's all about. She's going on, she'll make you scream and shout. She's a knockout who just knocked you out. Human born, open breath. She might just crack your head. Not a mouse, she is red. Oh, oh. From the hall to the brawl, she's a fierce defender of all. When there's danger, she hits the call. When there's danger.